Okay guys, so today we're going to be talking through lesson 3.4, which is all about writing algebraic expressions. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what exactly is an algebraic expression. So an algebraic expression is just an expression, a mathematical expression that includes at least one variable. You guys can write these definitions down in your notes as well. That would be very helpful for you guys to flip back to check if you guys ever forget what these definitions are. So an algebraic expression is just an expression that includes at least one variable. And a variable is a letter that represents an unknown. So, and this can be any letter A through Z, and so you can kind of pick whatever letter you want. So again, an algebraic expression is just a math expression that includes at least one variable, and a variable is a letter that we use when we do not know what something is. So it's representing an unknown, and so we will do an example of that right now. So example 1, Darius bought some comic books for $4 each. Write an algebraic expression to represent this situation. So he's buying some comic books for $4, but what we don't know is this sum. How many comic books are there? Actually, we don't know that. So we are going to use a variable for that, and you can pick any variable you want. I'm going to pick C just because C stands for comic books. So he's buying an unknown amount of comic books, and all of these cost $4 each. So if we wanted to figure out, well, how much would that cost total if every single one he's buying for $4, the operation that we're going to be using here is going to be multiplication. So if we wanted to write this situation as an expression, we would say 4 times C. 4 times C. And we can also write this in a few other ways. So 4 times C, we can also write as 4 with this little dot C. Now, a lot of times when we are starting to use variables, you will see me use this dot more often just because X can stand for a variable, so sometimes it gets confusing. But if you ever see this dot right here, this means multiplication. And the other way that we can write this when we're dealing with expressions is 4C. And the reason I can write this way is because any number right next to a variable means to multiply. So anytime a number is next to a variable or parentheses, I'm going to abbreviate, this means to multiply. So anytime a number is right next to a variable, and you guys might want to write this out too in your notes to keep that from later. All right, so let's try example 2. So example 2 is saying to place the correct operation for each situation. So A says 5 minutes more than time T. So what operation do we think would be for more than? This would be addition. And if I wanted to actually write this out in my expression form, I would have 5 minutes more than time T. So I'm going to have T plus 5. All right, B, 10 erasers decreased by a number n. So decreased by, this is going to be subtraction. So 10 erasers decreased by a number n. So 10 decreased by a number n. All right, C, n nectarines shared equally by 3. So shared equally, this means that whatever we have, we're giving it equally to each person. So we're dividing it equally, which means it's going to be division. So we're going to have n nectarines divided by 3. We could also write this as n over 3. That still means to divide. And then last one, 4 times the quantities x plus 8. So let's break this down. So the first part, 4 times, we know that means to multiply. And then x plus 8 plus means addition. So if we wanted to write this out, first we have 4 times something, but then we have the quantity of x plus 8. So we want to do that operation first. So whenever we want to do something first, we're going to use our little parentheses here, and we're going to put x plus 8 inside our parentheses. All right, example 3, write in an algebraic expression that represents 8 minus the quantity b divided by 6. So whenever we see the quantity of something, that means that we want to put that in parentheses. We want to do that operation first. So we have b divided by 6 in our parentheses, and then on the outside we have 8 minus this. So 8 minus b divided by 6. Okay, the last thing that we're going to talk about today there are 3 other vocabulary items that we need to talk about. We have terms, coefficient, and a constant. So a term is always separated by some sort of operation, usually addition or subtraction, but it's basically like an entire item. So for instance, in this expression here, we have 3 terms. We have 12r, r over 2, and 19. So total we have 3 terms. Now, coefficient is something that is connected to a variable. It's what you're multiplying that variable by. And so the one coefficient that we have is 12. And then last but not least, a constant. A constant is something that is by itself. It's never, ever going to change. So anything that's by itself, it's not connected to a variable, there's no operation connected to it, no matter what, it's always going to stay the same. So we have one constant up here, and this is 19. So we have terms, coefficient, and constant. So what I want you guys to think about on number 5, how many terms does this expression have? And then if you guys also want to think about, so we have terms, challenge yourselves here and think about, what about coefficient? And what about constant? So we have 3 terms here. We have R, 9, and 5.5. There are no coefficients. And we have 2 constants, 9 and 5.5.